Story 1. I've been running my family's strawberry farm for about 15 years now. Started when my dad got too old to handle the physical work, and I took over the business after finishing college. It's been tough but rewarding work. Every Saturday, I load up my truck with fresh berries and head to the local farmers market downtown. Same routine for years: wake up at 4 a.m., pick the ripest berries, pack them in those little green containers, and set up my stand by 7 a.m. The farmers market has always been my favorite part of the week. Most customers are friendly locals who appreciate fresh, locally grown produce. Sure, the prices are higher than the grocery store, but people understand they're paying for quality and supporting small businesses. A container of strawberries goes for $8, fair price, considering the work that goes into growing them organically. Last Saturday started like any other. I had my usual spot near the entrance, right next to the flower vendor who's become a good friend over the years. My cousin works as a police officer in town and sometimes stops by during his patrol to grab some berries for his family. Nice guy, always pays full price even though I offer him the family discount. Around 10 a.m., this woman approached my stand. She was probably in her 50s, wearing expensive-looking clothes and carrying a designer purse. She examined my strawberries for a few minutes, picking up different containers and inspecting them like she was buying diamonds. "Karen, these strawberries better be worth $8. Me, they're picked fresh this morning, ma'am. Completely organic, no pesticides." She set down the container and crossed her arms. "Karen, $8 is ridiculous. Back in the 90s, I could get strawberries for $2. Me, well, costs have gone up since then. Labor, gas, supplies, everything's more expensive now. Karen, I don't care about your excuses. I want to buy that entire crate of strawberries, and I'll pay what they're actually worth, $2 per container." She pointed to a wooden crate behind my stand that held about 30 containers. That represented nearly a quarter of my day's inventory. "Me, ma'am, I can't sell them for that price. I'd be losing money." "Karen, you're trying to rip people off with these outrageous prices. $2 per container is more than fair." "Me, I'm sorry, but the price is $8. That's what everyone else pays." That's when things got ugly. She positioned herself right in front of my stand, spreading her arms wide to block other customers from approaching. "Karen, nobody buy from this greedy farmer until he gives me a reasonable price." A young couple with their kids had been walking over to look at my berries, but they stopped when they saw her blocking the way. "Customer, excuse me, we'd like to buy some strawberries." "Karen, don't waste your money. He's charging $8 for strawberries that should cost $2. Me, ma'am, please move aside so other customers can shop." "Karen, I'm not moving until you sell me that crate for $60 total." This went on for about 20 minutes. She stood there like a human barricade, turning away anyone who tried to approach my stand. Some customers gave up and walked away. Others stood around watching the scene unfold like it was entertainment. The flower vendor next to me shook her head in disbelief. "Flower vendor, I've never seen anything like this in 15 years of coming here." Karen overheard and turned toward her. "Karen, you probably overcharge for your flowers too. These vendors are all the same, taking advantage of hardworking people." "Me, ma'am, you're disrupting my business. If you don't want to pay the listed price, please move along." "Karen, I have every right to stand here. This is public property." Technically, she was right about it being public property, but she was clearly harassing me and blocking potential customers. I was losing sales by the minute. Then I saw my cousin walking through the market in his police uniform, making his usual rounds. Perfect timing. "Me, hey cousin, can you come over here for a second?" My cousin noticed the commotion and walked over, immediately assessing the situation. "Cousin, what's going on here?" "Karen, this farmer is price gouging. $8 for strawberries is highway robbery." "Cousin, ma'am, vendors are free to set their own prices. Are you planning to make a purchase?" "Karen, only if he charges a fair price. $2 per container." "Cousin, So you're not buying anything at the current price? Karen, absolutely not. Cousin, then you need to move along and let other customers shop. Karen, I'm not going anywhere. Someone needs to stand up to these greedy vendors. My cousin's tone became more serious. Cousin, ma'am, you're disrupting this business. Either make a purchase or move on. Karen, you can't make me leave. This is public property and I have freedom of speech. Cousin, you have the right to free speech, but not to interfere with commerce. You're blocking customers from accessing this vendor's stand. Karen, I'm educating people about unfair prices. Cousin, this is your final warning. Move along or you'll be cited for disorderly conduct. She finally realized he was serious. Her whole demeanor changed as she looked at his badge and uniform. Karen, fine, but I'm reporting this vendor to the Better Business Bureau, and I'm calling the mayor's office about police harassment. Cousin, that's your right, ma'am. Now please move along. She stormed off, muttering complaints loud enough for everyone to hear. As soon as she left, customers started approaching my stand again. The young couple with kids bought 3 containers. An elderly man bought 2 containers and apologized for what happened. Elderly customer, some people have no shame. Your strawberries are delicious and worth every penny. My cousin hung around for a few more minutes to make sure she didn't come back. Cousin, that was something else. In 10 years on the force, I've never seen someone try to hold a farmer's market hostage over strawberry prices. Me, thanks for handling that. She cost me at least 30 minutes of sales. Cousin, people like that think the world owes them something. Your prices are completely reasonable. The rest of the day went smoothly. Word actually spread about what happened, and several customers mentioned they came over specifically because they heard about the strawberry lady. I ended up having one of my best sales days in months. My cousin stopped by again before leaving his shift. Cousin, by the way, I did some checking. That woman has been banned from 2 grocery stores downtown for similar behavior. Apparently she's notorious for demanding manager discounts and causing scenes. That explained a lot. Some people just can't accept that prices change over time, and they think causing a public scene will get them what they want. The farmer's market has been peaceful ever since. I still see her occasionally driving through town, but she gives my stand a wide berth now. Sometimes the best way to deal with entitled people is to have backup when they refuse to listen to reason. Story 2. I never thought I'd have a story worth sharing on the internet until last Tuesday. I work as a delivery driver for a local pizza place, and I've been doing this job for about 3 years now. It's decent work. I get to drive around town, listen to music, and the tips are pretty good on most days. The only downside is that I'm constantly filling up my car with gas, sometimes twice a day during busy periods. My usual gas station is this place on the corner of Main and 5th Street. It's nothing fancy, just a regular station with 6 pumps and a small convenience store. The staff there knows me pretty well since I stop by so often. The manager is this older guy who's always been fair with everyone and keeps the place running smoothly. So there I was last Tuesday, running low on gas after delivering pizzas all morning. I had about 6 more orders to deliver before my shift ended, and my fuel light had just come on. I pulled into the gas station and immediately noticed something weird. A huge white luxury car was parked sideways across 3 pumps, completely blocking them. At first, I thought maybe someone was having car trouble or something. I parked at one of the remaining pumps and started filling up my tank. That's when I saw her, this woman in expensive clothes, strutting around like she owned the place. She was on her phone, talking loudly enough for everyone to hear. Karen, yes, I told you to meet me here at 2 o'clock. I saved the good pumps for us. I glanced at my watch. It was already 2:30, and there was a line of cars starting to form. People were clearly frustrated, honking their horns and trying to figure out how to get around her massive vehicle. An elderly man approached her politely. Elderly man, excuse me, miss. Could you move your car? People are trying to get gas. Karen turned around with this look of pure disgust on her face. Karen, I'm saving these pumps for my friends. They'll be here any minute. Find somewhere else. Elderly man, but there are only 3 other pumps, and they're all occupied. Karen, not my problem. I got here first. The elderly man shook his head and walked back to his car. I finished filling up my tank, but instead of leaving, I decided to go into the store. Something about this situation didn't sit right with me. Inside, I found the manager behind the counter looking stressed out. Customers were complaining about the blocked pumps, and he was trying to handle phone calls at the same time. Hey, what's the deal with that car blocking the pumps? Manager, that lady claims she's reserving them for her friends. She's been out there for over an hour now. I've asked her 3 times to move, but she won't listen. Can't you do something about it? Manager, I'm about to. I've already called the towing company. Just then, Karen burst through the door. Karen, why are people honking at me? This is harassment. I demand you do something about these rude customers. Manager, ma'am, you can't block 3 pumps like that. You need to move your vehicle. Karen, I absolutely will not. I'm a paying customer, and I have every right to be here. My friends are coming, and we're going to need those pumps. Manager, you can use 1 pump when you need it. You can't reserve multiple pumps. Karen, do you know who I am? I spend hundreds of dollars here every month. I could have your job. The manager stayed calm, but I could see his patience was wearing thin. Manager, I understand you're a regular customer, but the rules apply to everyone. If you don't move your car in the next 5 minutes, I'll have it towed. Karen's face turned bright red. Karen, you wouldn't dare. This is discrimination. I'm going to call corporate and have you fired. Manager, that's your choice, ma'am. But your car needs to move. Karen stormed out, slamming the door so hard the bell above it nearly fell off. Through the window, I watched her march back to her car and continue her phone conversation, completely ignoring the growing line of frustrated drivers. About 10 minutes later, a tow truck pulled into the station. The driver spoke briefly with the manager, then walked over to Karen's car. She was still inside, still on her phone. The tow truck driver knocked on her window. Tow truck driver, ma'am, I need you to step out of the vehicle. Karen rolled down her window. Karen, what? Why? Tow truck driver, your car is being towed for blocking the pumps. Karen, you can't tow my car. I'm a customer. Tow truck driver, I have authorization from the manager. Please step out. What happened next was like something out of a movie. Karen started screaming at the top of her lungs, claiming this was all illegal and that she was going to sue everyone. But the tow truck driver had heard it all before. He calmly attached the chains to her car while she stood there having a complete meltdown. Karen, this is theft. I'm calling the police. Manager, feel free. They'll tell you the same thing I did. You can't block multiple pumps. As the tow truck started lifting her car, something beautiful happened. All the customers who had been waiting in line started clapping and cheering. Car horns were honking in celebration. Even the elderly man she'd been rude to earlier was smiling and giving thumbs up. Karen was absolutely furious. Karen, you're all horrible people. This is a conspiracy. But nobody cared anymore. People were finally able to access the pumps, and the gas station returned to normal operation. The manager walked over to me as I was getting ready to leave. Manager, thanks for being patient with all this. No problem. I've never seen anything like that before. Manager, unfortunately, I have. Some people think the world revolves around them. As I drove away to finish my deliveries, I could see Karen in the distance, probably waiting for a ride, while her car got hauled off to the impound lot. I heard later that she had to pay over $200 in towing and storage fees to get it back. The best part? I drove by the next day and saw a new sign posted. Maximum 20-minute limit per pump during peak hours. Violators will be towed at owner's expense. Sometimes justice really does prevail. Story 3. I've been working at the downtown post office for about 3 years now. It's not the most exciting job, but it pays the bills, and I actually like helping people with their mail and packages. Most customers are pretty understanding when I explain our policies and procedures, but every once in a while, you get someone who thinks the rules don't apply to them. I started this job right after finishing community college. My original plan was to become a teacher, but the job market was tough, and I needed something stable while I figured out my next move. The post office offered decent benefits and regular hours, so I took the position as a window clerk. My supervisor trained me well on all the different services we offer, shipping rates, and most importantly, how to handle difficult customers with patience and professionalism. The thing about working at the post office is that you see the same people regularly. There are the small business owners who ship products daily, elderly folks who still prefer mailing letters over email, and people who rent post office boxes for their mail. Most of them are pleasant, and we've built good relationships over the years. But then there's this one woman who rents box number 247. She's probably in her 50s, always dressed like she's heading to some important business meeting, and has this attitude like everyone around her is beneath her. From day one, she's been nothing but trouble. She complains about everything: the hours we're open, how long the lines are, the prices of stamps, you name it. My coworkers and I started calling her Karen because, well, if you've ever worked in customer service, you know the type. The problems with Karen started small. She'd come in demanding we hold packages that were too big for her box, even though she never paid for that service. She'd argue with us about postage rates like we personally set them. She once threw a fit because we wouldn't accept a package that was clearly damaged and leaking some kind of liquid. But the real issues began about 6 months ago. See, when you rent a post office box, you have to pay the rental fee on time just like any other bill. The fees aren't expensive, maybe $40 every 6 months depending on the box size. We send out renewal notices well in advance, and if someone doesn't pay, we send certified letters as warnings before we eventually close the box. Karen had been ignoring her rental notices. My supervisor mentioned that she was already 3 months behind on her payments, and we'd sent 2 certified letters to her home address. But every time Karen came in to check her box, she acted like everything was normal. Last Tuesday started like any other day. I was working the afternoon shift, helping customers with their shipping needs, when Karen stormed through the front door. She was carrying a large cardboard box and had that look on her face that meant trouble. She cut straight to the front of the line, ignoring the 4 people who were waiting patiently. The customer I was helping looked annoyed, but I held up my finger to signal I'd be right back with them. Karen, I need this package delivered today. Rush delivery, and I'm not paying extra for it. Me, ma'am, you'll need to wait in line like everyone else. And rush delivery does have additional charges depending on where it's going. Karen, do you know who I am? I've been a customer here for decades. I deserve better service than this. I could feel my patience starting to wear thin, but I kept my voice calm and professional. Me, I understand you've been coming here for a while, but our policies apply to everyone equally. If you'd like to wait in line, I'll be happy to help you with shipping options and pricing. Karen, this is ridiculous. I'm not waiting behind these people. I'm a premium customer. The thing is, we don't have premium customers at the post office. Everyone gets the same service regardless of how long they've been coming here. But Karen seemed to think her years of complaining entitled her to special treatment. She started raising her voice, which made the other customers uncomfortable. The elderly man I had been helping stepped back and told me he'd wait. I felt bad for him, but I needed to deal with Karen before things got worse. Karen, I demand to speak to your manager. This is unacceptable customer service. My supervisor heard the commotion and came over from the back office. He's a patient guy who's been with the Postal Service for over 20 years, so he's seen it all. Supervisor, what seems to be the problem here? Karen, your employee is refusing to provide me with rush delivery service. I've been coming to this post office since before she was even born. That was definitely not true since I'm 25 and this branch only opened 15 years ago, but I didn't bother correcting her. Supervisor, we're happy to help with express shipping services. There are additional fees based on the destination and delivery time frame you need. Karen, I'm not paying extra. I spend enough money here already. The irony of that statement hit me immediately. She hadn't paid her box rental in months, but she was claiming to spend lots of money here. I exchanged a look with my supervisor, and I could tell he was thinking the same thing. Karen kept screaming about her decades of loyalty and how we should bend the rules for her. Other customers were starting to leave because of the disruption. One mother with small children walked out shaking her head. Karen, this is discrimination. I'm going to report all of you to corporate. You'll all lose your jobs over this? My supervisor tried explaining our shipping rates and policies, but Karen wasn't listening. She just kept getting louder and more demanding. At one point, she actually pounded her fist on the counter. Karen, I want free rush delivery, and I want it now. I've earned it after being a loyal customer for so long. That's when my supervisor got this slight smile on his face. He walked over to the certified mail section and pulled out a green card. Supervisor, you know what? You're absolutely right about being a long-time customer. In fact, we have a special delivery just for you. He handed her the certified letter that had been sitting in our system for 2 weeks. Karen grabbed it eagerly, probably thinking she'd won some kind of victory. Karen, finally, some decent customer service around here. She tore open the envelope right there at the counter. I watched her face change as she read the contents. The color drained from her cheeks and her mouth fell open. Karen, what? What is this? Supervisor, that's your final notice for unpaid post office box rental fees. Your box will be closed in 72 hours if payment isn't received. The letter detailed exactly how much she owed 6 months of rental fees plus late charges. It also explained that any mail in her box would be returned to sender if she didn't settle her account. Karen, this can't be right. I pay my bills. Me? According to our records, your last payment was 8 months ago. The other customers in line had started paying attention to the drama unfolding. Karen looked around and realized everyone was watching her meltdown. Karen, this is harassment. You can't close my box. Supervisor, the terms are clearly outlined in your rental agreement. Payment was due months ago. Karen tried arguing that she never received the previous notices, even though we had delivery confirmation for both certified letters sent to her home. She claimed there must be some mistake in our system, but the evidence was right there in black and white. Karen, I'll pay it tomorrow. Just give me one more day. Supervisor, you can make a payment today if you'd like. We accept cash, check, or money order for postal services. It turns out Karen didn't have the money with her. She'd come in demanding free rush delivery service while owing us over $200 in back rent and fees. Karen, this is entrapment. You tricked me. Me. You asked for a delivery, and we delivered your certified mail. The beautiful irony wasn't lost on anyone in the lobby. She'd demanded rush delivery and gotten exactly that, just not what she was expecting. Karen finally left, muttering threats about lawsuits and complaints to higher authorities. She never did pay her rental fees, and we closed her box 3 days later. All her mail got returned to senders, which probably caused her even more problems. A week later, she came back trying to rent a new box, but my supervisor politely explained that customers with outstanding debts couldn't open new accounts. Last I heard, she was driving 20 minutes to the next town over for her postal needs. The whole experience taught me that sometimes the best way to handle entitled people is to give them exactly what they ask for. Story 4. I've been working as a pharmacist for about 8 years now, and I thought I'd seen everything. People trying to refill prescriptions early, demanding medications without prescriptions, arguing about insurance copays, you name it. But nothing prepared me for what happened last Tuesday. I started my career right after college, working at a small independent pharmacy in my hometown. After getting some experience, I moved to this chain pharmacy in a busier part of the city about 3 years ago. The pay was better, and I liked the faster pace. Most days are pretty routine, filling prescriptions, answering questions about over-the-counter medications, giving flu shots. Sure, we get the occasional difficult customer, but usually a calm explanation of the rules sorts things out. That Tuesday started like any other. I was catching up on some paperwork when my technician came over looking stressed. "Technician, there's a woman at the counter who's getting pretty loud about her prescription. Can you handle this one?" I walked over to find a middle-aged woman tapping her fingers impatiently on the counter. She had that look, the one that says, "I'm about to make this everyone else's problem." Me, "Good afternoon. I understand there's an issue with your prescription." Karen, "Finally, someone who might actually know what they're doing. I need you to double my anxiety medication. I'm going through a really tough time right now, and I need extra for my emotional support needs." I pulled up her file on the computer. She was prescribed a 30-day supply of a common anxiety medication, and she picked up her last refill just 12 days ago. Me, "I'm sorry, but I can't do that. Your prescription is written for a specific dosage and quantity. If you feel you need an adjustment, you'll need to contact your doctor." Karen, "Are you kidding me? I'm telling you I have emotional support needs. This is discrimination against people with mental health issues." Me, "Ma'am, I understand you're going through a difficult time, but I legally cannot dispense more medication than what's prescribed. It's not about discrimination, it's about patient safety and federal regulations." Karen, "Don't give me that bureaucratic nonsense. I know my rights. I'm a tax-paying citizen, and I demand you give me what I need." Other customers were starting to stare, and I could see my technician getting uncomfortable. I tried to keep my voice calm and professional. Me, "I'd be happy to call your doctor's office to discuss adjusting your prescription if you'd like." Karen, "Fine, call them right now. And you better tell them exactly what I told you about my emotional support needs." I stepped into the consultation area and dialed her doctor's office. After a brief hold, I got through to the prescribing physician. Me, "Hi, doctor. I have your patient here requesting to double her anxiety medication. She says it's for emotional support needs during a tough time." Doctor, "Double it. She just picked up her prescription less than 2 weeks ago. How much has she been taking?" Me, "She's asking for twice the prescribed amount." Doctor, "Absolutely not. In fact, I've been concerned about her recent behavior. She's been calling our office multiple times a day, demanding earlier refills and higher doses. She's also been shopping around to other doctors for the same medication." My heart sank. This was exactly what I'd suspected but hoped wasn't true. Doctor, "I'm going to cancel her prescription entirely. She needs to come in for a full evaluation before I'll prescribe anything else. Can you make sure she doesn't get any more refills?" Me, "Understood. I'll update her file accordingly." I walked back to the counter where Karen was still waiting, looking smug like she'd already won. Karen, "Well, what did he say? I bet he told you to give me exactly what I asked for." Me, "I spoke with your doctor. Unfortunately, he's decided to cancel your prescription entirely. He wants you to schedule an appointment for a full evaluation before any new medications can be prescribed." The color drained from her face, then quickly returned as bright red anger. Karen, "What? That's impossible. You're lying. You probably didn't even call him." Me, "I did call him. Your prescription has been canceled in our system. You'll need to work directly with your doctor's office going forward." Karen, "This is insane. I'm going to sue this pharmacy. I'm going to sue you personally. You can't just cut off someone's medication." Me, "Ma'am, the decision was made by your prescribing physician, not by me. If you have concerns, you'll need to take them up with his office." Karen, "Give me your manager. Give me your district manager. I want corporate's number." My pharmacy manager had emerged from the back office, having heard the commotion. Manager, "Is there a problem here?" Karen, "Your pharmacist is refusing to fill my prescription and lying about talking to my doctor." Manager, "Sir, can you explain what happened?" I quickly filled him in on the situation. He nodded and turned back to Karen. Manager, ma'am, if your doctor canceled your prescription, there's nothing we can do. That's between you and your physician. Karen, this is discrimination. I have rights. I'm never shopping here again. Manager, that's your choice, ma'am. Have a good day. Karen stormed out, shouting something about lawyers and corporate complaints. The other customers in line looked relieved, and several of them thanked us for handling the situation professionally. About an hour later, my phone rang. It was Karen's doctor again. Doctor, I wanted to thank you for calling earlier. After our conversation, I did some checking. She's been to 4 different pharmacies in the past month trying to get early refills. I've reported this to the state prescription monitoring program. You probably saved her from a serious overdose or addiction problem. That made me feel better about the whole situation. Sometimes doing the right thing means being the bad guy in someone else's story. The next day, my manager told me that Karen had indeed called corporate to complain. When they reviewed the situation and spoke with her doctor's office, they actually commended our handling of the situation. Apparently, her doctor had also mentioned that she'd been displaying increasingly erratic behavior and was grateful we'd contacted him. 2 weeks later, I saw Karen at a different pharmacy down the street, having the same argument with their pharmacist. Some people never learn.